Hey everyone, in this video I will give you all tips and tricks that you should use while playing MM2. Before I start though, I want to do a little promo. Make sure to subscribe, leave a bell on, and like this video. I really appreciate all the support, and if you guys enjoy my content, then being subscribed with the bell on always notifies you when I upload. You can also join my Discord server, as sometimes YouTube does not notify you, and I always ping every time I upload on my Discord server, which is linked in the description. Also, feel free to leave a comment, as I always heart and do my best to reply to each comment and question I receive. If you look in literally any video that I've posted before, I try to respond to every single comment. There's also some links in my description that you could check out if you'd like to see them. And yeah, moving aside, let's move on to the actual video. My first tip for you guys is to use shift lock. Shift locks makes playing the game much easier, and it's easier than the default since you can evade much more efficiently. I personally frequently play with shift lock on. The reason is because I can just press WASD or the arrow keys and literally just go in any direction I want without having to press like extra buttons, and it's much more easier because when you press W you go straight, when you press A obviously you go to the left, but when you play without shift lock on, it's like you go in whatever direction your like camera is pointed, and I don't really like that, and it's much more easier to just use shift lock, and it's a lot easier to, like, if you're a good player, like, it's a lot easier for you to just like move around and literally just juke people, and you know, like, that definitely helps you win. And the next tip that I have for you guys is not to play with music on. So if you have a radio, just don't play anything. Also, I recommend just having the game muted. Unless you're a murderer, you should have the game unmuted. Some people that play the game use music, and it's a lot easier to just find them because the sound leads you to them, and it's a lot easier to kill them if you're a murderer. But if you're innocent or sheriff, I don't really recommend having music on, and I also recommend being muted. That's because you can hear like the murderer much more easier, just get away from them and just be aware. So I don't play with music on unless I'm murderer. I don't play music, but I keep my game audio on, so if people are playing music, it just leads me right to them, and a lot of the good players know this, so I definitely recommend just doing that because it's a lot easier to just play the game, honestly. My next tip is to use side-to-side movements and spam jumping. Spam jumping I don't really recommend doing, but I'll explain more in depth about that in a bit. So side-to-side movements while using shift lock, it's a lot easier to just evade people and get away from them so they won't kill you. Or like if you're sheriff, you can just evade the murderer's knife if they're throwing, or if they're trying to get you, you can just literally just jump over them, or just like go side to side so they won't hit you. If you're a murderer, just literally just go side to side so they won't shoot you, because it's a lot harder to aim. But if you're against someone doing that, just try to predict where they're going. Obviously not everyone's gonna know how to predict like that, so you'll most likely win most of the time. Spam jumping I don't really recommend doing, although I do it sometimes by accident or like just like as a habit, because I used to do that a lot. You might see that in like one of my MM2 montages, and I got like a lot of hate for it, but you know, like, it's just, I only did it because it was just like a reflex, I guess, and in the moment that's what I was doing. But if you're spam jumping, don't jump straight ahead, don't bunny hop, don't just jump straight ahead. Go side to side if you are spam jumping. Don't spam jump like every second, just literally just do it like a little bit so they can't aim. It's a lot harder to aim for spam jumpers though, not gonna lie, but I recommend aiming at the middle, and also, like I said earlier, predict where they're going. Most of the time you probably won't be able to, but you know, you'll still, after a few tries, get it. So I definitely recommend just doing that. And I don't really recommend spam jumping though, but moving side to side definitely helps. Like if you're spam jumping, move side to side. They won't be able to get you most of the time. My next tip is to play in first person if you are murderer or sheriff. Not for the whole game, but if you've watched my montages before, then you'll see like when I'm sheriff, I zoom in into first person and then aim and then shoot them. When I'm murderer, I go into first person and I kill them and I aim like that, and I find it much more easier, and it's very easy. playing in first person as an innocent doesn't really work out, but if you're a sheriff or murderer and you're trying to shoot at the other person or kill the other person, it's a lot easier in my opinion. It might not work out for you, but it's a lot easier to play in first person than third person when you're like shooting or aiming and everything. My next tip is to throw the knife, and the thing about that, don't just only go in for like the melee kills. You can't really most of the time do that against the good players. You're gonna have to press E when you're aiming, and you're gonna have to have your arrow on them, and you should predict where they're going if they're moving around a lot. And I find that it works out for me most of the time, and I definitely recommend using it personally. Also, I don't recommend having your knife out the whole time that you're a murderer. I just press 1 and I keep my hand on 1. I keep one finger on 1, and when I find someone and I get close to them, I just press 1 to kill them. If they're moving around, I just press 1 and then press E and then aim and then shoot at them, and most of the time I get them, unless they're like using like, you know, like the side to side, then I'm gonna have to work a little harder to kill them. But I definitely recommend, you know, playing in first person and then just not having the knife out all the time. And same thing with the gun, don't just have it out, like the murderer's just gonna target you. It's a lot harder for you to win that way. My next tip, aka like a bonus tip, my last tip for you guys is do not team, do not camp. These do not make you improve in like any way. Like, yeah, it's fun teaming or camping, like it's easy win, but most of the time you'll lose. I'm just gonna be honest, you're gonna lose. Teaming just sucks. You'll get a lot of hate for it, and it doesn't make you a better player in the game. It just makes you be dependable on another person in order for you to win, which is not really the point of the game, because you're supposed to play by yourself against everyone else, not with someone else. So camping sucks. Honestly, I don't really recommend camping. There's a lot of toxic players, and they'll literally just immediately attack you for it, and camping doesn't really make you a better player either. It just means you're too scared to like actually fight. Like after the sheriff dies, you just camp. That's not really like the ideal way to play. It doesn't make you any better, it just makes you a camper. And if you let someone get the gun and then you just literally kill the person with the gun and then kill everyone else, then it's a lot easier to win and you get a fair win. I don't really recommend camping or teaming or any of that. It's just literally what younger kids do. And I mean, some of you guys might be young, but it's mostly like the people that don't really know how to play the game. But I don't really recommend just teaming and stuff when you're literally like, when you have so much potential to get better. But yeah, that's all for my tips and tricks that I have. You might have seen these before. I mean, most of the people have like the same tips because they're good tips. So I hope these tips might be helpful for you guys. Let me know if it works out. And you can obviously watch some of the clips that are being played on the screen as I'm talking. And you can see that it actually works out most of the time. And you can also watch some of my montages if you want to see. I posted 2 so far. And you can definitely see how I use some of these tips in my gameplay. And it makes me a lot better. And I used to struggle a lot. And I found that these helped me very much. And I hope these work out for you guys as well. So thank you all so much for all the support. I really appreciate it. And I hope you guys all have a nice day. I'll see you guys another day. Peace out.